Alright, so we are back here with that Adventure John. We're slowly getting our shit together, go for a ride. Like I notice as I get older, god damn, it takes longer to get out of the house. What's up with that? Every day seems like it takes longer. Oh, we gotta get some tunes going. Tunes that you can't hear. Welcome to that Adventure John. This is Steve McClintock, and we are heading back down to the Forgotten Quarter today, and we are going to go check out a couple places, maybe three. The big one's going to be Fort Mott along the Delaware River. Probably the second stop of the day. The Finn Point National Cemetery, and then we're going to go check out another cool area along the river. I guess it's still the river, I don't know, River Bay, whatever it wants to be called right now. So Fort Elfsburg, I don't know what else to say about it. It's a cool place, I guess. Looks cool, don't know if it is cool, don't know if people are cool. But yeah, some nice modest houses along the water. Today is the last day of daylight savings time. The unnecessarily controversial day where we have to discuss, well, what's the relevancy of daylight savings time? Oh, it's outmoded. Fuck it, it passes the time. Why have I decided to start a YouTube channel? Why am I talking to myself on my motorcycle? It's a damn good question that has some answers that I'm about to give you. So I'm doing this just to really, I don't know, express myself a bit. So I started working from home back in 2019, March of 2019. So a full-on year before a lot of people started working from home due to the coronavirus pandemic. So one of the things I noticed about myself is when you work from home, and especially doing what I do, not to get into a whole long story about what I do, but I play a lot on spreadsheets, and I'm on a fair number of conference calls each week discussing these things, these facts and figures that I've discovered in spreadsheets from looking at various data. So that becomes the primary source of human interaction outside of my household. Remote conversations, etc., and all that kind of stuff. So what I began to discover about myself, when you're working from home, I'm not having as many like conversations, small talk conversations. So I really kind of felt like I was not, I was losing my ability to effectively communicate with people and communicate outside of my head. Anyone that's kind of gone through the transition work from home or since the start of the pandemic, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this where, I don't say some of the interaction I don't miss, but being able to hold a conversation as well as I used to is something that I miss. And so I'm doing this to build up a sense of, rebuild my conversational skills, even though these conversations are inherently, as I'm vlogging, one way. But what it's doing is it's helping my mind think best of what next to say. The perennial question: how many flooded roads are there going to be as we're driving through South Jersey? Pretty day though. It's chilly. Looks like we could hit 60 down here, but the sun feels nice. This is kind of an interesting area as we head out to Fort Mott. Yeah, it's another road through some marsh, but they've done a really nice job of coming in here and protecting some of this. You almost call it prairie land. ish, with some kind of hawk. So it looks really cool. There's some nice trails back over here. We'll have to visit them at some point. But so there's a lot of history. There's a lot of ecological things. So yeah, you might wonder, like, why the heck is there a lighthouse this far from the river? Because we're still probably, you know, a solid 3/4 of a mile from the Delaware River at this point. Why would they do that? Well, easy answer is when that thing was built, the river was right here. One of the ways you can kind of tell that, this little berm to our right, the fuck, dipshit, off to our right here, that mound, that ain't natural, that is man-made. And all up and down the Delaware River, you see that quite a bit. There ain't nobody here today. So probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to hop off of here, make sure we secure, and go wander around a little bit, and do a little slow speed practice, and we'll look. So I guess it's a good view. You can see that this was an old gunnery installation. Okay, so once I got here, I didn't feel like walking and talking as I was kind of filming my little visit here. So I just carried it around and figured, like, you know what? I'll get back and I'll pop up Wikipedia and when I get home and be able to talk to this a little bit more efficiently than stopping at every sign on the way. But yeah, so this is Fort Mott State Park. The big focus here is the the gun emplacements that are lining the shoreline here. So it's actually kind of cool. You can walk around this entire you can walk through most of the fort. Get up in these little pillboxes and wander around where the guns used to be, and then roam around underneath where all the munitions were stored. Kind of looks like one of those first-person shooter type video games. I'm not a video game person. I don't play those. I don't know modern major myths of Warcraft or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what those things are. But every bit of video that I've seen of those things looks like, you know, one of those, or we'd go shoot zombies. I don't know. But the place itself is actually really cool. So construction began here in 1872 for what was then called the Battery at Finn's Point. There were supposed to be 11 guns placed all along this structure. Construction was completed 1876 when the War Department decided to say, hey, you know, we need to reevaluate what we want for these types of defenses. So one of the cool things about this particular gun placement is that, yeah, it was meant to protect the Delaware Bay from attack, but also was set up that some of the guns could fire 360 degrees and defend itself from a land attack. At this point in its history, and this point of the history of the Delaware Bay River coast, there wasn't as many filled-in areas as there are now with dredge spoils. It actually looked like it had more of a true moat around it and was more protected. So that being said, it had 3 major separate batteries of guns. You can kind of tell when you're walking through here as you go from kind of the brick construction to the poured concrete, the different sections of the thing, which is pretty cool. So it was completed in 1876, the first major construction, and then some upgrades between 1895 and 1935 in putting in different size guns. The main ones were 3 12-inch guns, which is pretty big. It's almost like as big as what they had on battleships and things. So by 1943, this obviously was an obsolete bit of war war estate for the Department of Defense. It was, the guns were moved to different places. I think some were, according to Wikipedia, were sold to Canada as part of the Lend-Lease Act in 1941. But yeah, for something that's has some historical context, none of the guns were actually ever fired for anything other than training purposes. They were never fired in aggression or defense. So all of this was built and then never used for its intended purpose. So I guess that speaks to the strength of its defenses, kept people from messing. But there were also bigger fortifications, whether down along Cape May on the New Jersey side or Cape Henlopen on the Delaware side, that were actually more formidable defenses by the time we get into World War II. So by then, 1947, the state took control of the property, and then in 51, this area was opened up as a state park. And then there's a seasonal ferry that runs from Fort Mott, across the Delaware Bay to Pea Patch Island, which is Fort Delaware. That was a Civil War prisoner of war camp and fortification. It's really interesting. It's apparently one of the supposedly most haunted sites in the greater Philadelphia, Wilmington area. Been there a couple times, but man, it's spooky when you go wandering around through that fort. But at some point, take a ride over there and see what's going on. But yeah, so here, just kind of wrapping things up, wandering back down from the top of the hill here, make my way back to the bike, and yeah, that's it. That's Fort Mott, kids. So from this point forward, for the next few minutes, I am an idiot, and I did not have the little mic attachment in the camera properly. So if I were to raise the noise here, you can take a listen. Yep, sounds like shit. So that was my bad. I didn't check it until probably like a half hour to this. So adjacent to Fort Mott is Finn Point National Cemetery, and this beautiful tree-lined road takes you back to that cemetery. It is an official Department of Defense cemetery. It's still an active cemetery. So this was primarily opened during the Civil War to inter the dead Confederate soldiers from Fort Delaware on Pea Patch Island. And then it later became consecrated as a formal military cemetery. One of my high school teachers, who was a Marine, passed away in the summer, and he has been recently laid to rest back here. So it's still an active cemetery. So from what I've noticed, this is definitely one of the smaller military cemeteries. Basically, it follows that stone wall all the way around the perimeter. Many of the headstones are relatively low to the ground. The caretaker's house and office we'll be riding past up here. I know it's an interesting place. There's an obelisk monument past the caretaker's house with the names of the Confederate soldiers that died while in captivity of the Union Army during the Civil War. So, but I just wanted to take a quick cruise around, get kind of a sense of where my teacher was laid to rest, and kind of move on from there.
And it's a shame with all the dredge around that, it really feels penned in. And yeah, I mean, just this one little lane to get back to it, it almost feels forgotten. But I know it's not. But interesting nonetheless. But no, this is just a cool little state park, in the bottom corner of the state, part of the Forgotten Quarter. So now I'm hurriedly going to another area just outside of Salem, known as Elsinboro Township, Fort Elfsburg. The constant refrain in this, it's a road through the marsh. It's South Jersey. That's kind of what happens here. Lots of marsh. Some places along the bay shore where you want to hang out. So they built a road through the marsh to it. This is like one of the first Swedish colonies before the Dutch defeated the Swedes, and then before there was the Treaty of Westminster that handed this part of New Jersey over to the British as a colony, and then that brought in Mr. Penn and Mr. Fenwick. But very historic area. And again, this is, like I said, this is, I think, one of the earlier kind of resort areas. Now it's more kind of year-round living. You're 15 minutes to the Delaware Memorial Bridge. So if you work anywhere in Wilmington or even up into Philadelphia, it's not that terrible of a commute. So why not live along the water? And there's a cool little riverside park here. Most likely this was a ferry stop once upon a time. And wherever there were some major ferry stops, there would also be, public parks, old amusement areas. You see across in the distance, that bridge is for the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. So really kind of straight across from Delaware City, more or less. Yeah, so at this point in my ride, I really had to go to the bathroom. I really had to pee. And I was really banking on the fact that there would, A, be a porta-john at Finn's Point. There wasn't. And then B, there usually is a porta-john at Elsinboro here at that little park near where the gate comes down. And as you saw, there wasn't one at either place. So, yeah. Hi, old lady. So yeah, I was kind of in need of facilities, and usually you got a few places mapped out in your head that are safe to hop off the bike. But this was a Saturday in November, and most of the places that I also knew that I could hop off and take care of some business would be very popular for hunters right now, whether it's archery hunting or small game hunting. I wouldn't be able to find the level of seclusion necessary to handle my needs at the time. So I just started the motor back at this point. And I think in the not too distant future here, I will be coming back into audio in 3, 2, 1. Take it away, Steve-O.
These doggies always come out and say hi to me. Hi. Hi. Oh, the old car. What's that, GTO? GTO. Oh yeah, smell that. Smells like global warming. got this way? Nothing. Alright, so we're gonna make our way back up north. That Porta John's still there. Deer! Yeah, it's that time of year, kids. You know, four-legged death bitches. You know, I like those Dodge Magnum station wagons. But damn, it's almost like it should come with a cup holder to hold your piss sample that you take to your PO. Okay, so back to my conversation earlier about dredge spoils. As we're approaching the stop sign, if you were to go straight, that is dredge spoils. Near the side of the dredge spoils is the Delaware River. And now you know. And knowing is half the battle. So we're going to slab it. Slab it up, flip it, rip it down. I believe this is one of the last of these drawed bridges of this type. It's no longer draws. I am, however, digging this fresh blacktop, because why wouldn't you? This road used to have the worst expansion cracks. Like every damn one of them, like, had the potential to cause a tank slapper. It's utterly frightening. Ooh, gas light came on. And I got 44 miles left. I don't feel like getting gas today. Fuck that. I'm gonna fuck myself tomorrow for doing it. But yeah, so we're back in my hometown. Well, no, my new hometown. Not the town not the town where I was born and raised. Just a couple miles away from there. Anyway, making the turn towards home. This was another dispatch from the Forgotten Quarter. My name's Steve McClintock, and this is That Adventure John. Thank you for joining me, as always. And if you like the content, please take a split second to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and please, if you do subscribe, hit that alert button so you know the next time the video's coming out. And I appreciate it.